good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We are out into week number 6, the third broadcast of the day, America's East men's and women's racing. Women are going to go first tonight, and we got 3 laps of Volcano Course. Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll next to me, and we are 3 laps Volcano. You casted this on Zwift Live yesterday. Pretty awesome racing there. Freddie Ovitt, absolute domination.
Yeah.
This is an interesting course because we have seen it play out a lot of different ways in weeks past. There's some courses that have kind of been like, that's kind of the, it's fine that it plays out the same way. It just tended toward that. I think this course allows a lot more dice rolling. You can take a lot more chances because of the ways that you can essentially use the climb each and every time and really put the pressure on if you want to.
Yeah, I actually have to give Kristen Kolchinsky a ton of credit for the women's race for the way she attacked and at least rolled the dice out there. Not many riders have the moxie to do that, and it's going to pay off someday. But yeah, Nathan, I was actually really interested to ask you, even today, how things are playing out, because as you said, that win by Freddie, that was next level stuff. He also picks up all of the bonuses along the way. Never seen anything like that in the Premier League. It's really an interesting time for racing. That's for sure. This course, though, I love it. Whole lot of lava. 511 meters of climbing over 3 laps, 3 trips up that Volcano KOM. Yeah, here we get a good look at the course. Nathan, you're probably going to be a rider like you racing at your level. You're going to be spending, 20-ish minutes climbing full on during about an hour of racing. It's the longest race that we do out here. So you can see it's almost 42 kilometers, 511 meters of climbing, but it's really going up and down that Volcano KOM there 3 times. Well, I've seen a lot of racers from the community today talking about how devastated their legs are.
Yeah, it's been a tough day out there for a lot of riders, that's for sure, as far as
Yeah.
up and over the top of that over and over again. Now, as far as how it was playing out throughout the day, we have seen a couple of different circumstances, and it really comes down to strength of field a lot of times, I think, too. If the field is extremely strong and pretty evenly matched across, you're going to end up with a lot of big groups coming up over the top of that climb. The snowball avalanche effect tends to kind of bring everything back together. If you do have some standout riders when it comes to making breaks happen, Freddie Ovitt's a different situation yesterday where he's just got a crazy kick and is right along the same level with some of these other riders at the, I think he's probably a percentage or two above at the VO2 even threshold level, but they're strong enough to hang on to the wheel where the whole group will come back together and then it comes down to a sprint finish again. So Freddie just having that extra 1 to 2 watts per kilogram with a kick and a crazy threshold. Now, the other side of it, though, is we see Rachel Elliott, who just made the race really, really hard and just walked away today. She ended up winning by 35 seconds. You end up with another situation where maybe the strength of field isn't quite as evenly matched, and you end up with these smaller pockets of groups that end up chasing on the downhills, which have made for very interesting races because you don't get as much of an avalanche effect. You don't get this gigantic snowball really getting a ton of speed, and people have to end up really being tactical about their moves, working together in different ways. So definitely a course, though, that you got to know who's in the race with you. That's something that we haven't talked a lot about in racing on Zwift, but something that definitely comes up in my mind as a racer when I show up somewhere, how I race the race. I think first and foremost about who's here. How many risks am I going to take because of who's here? And that really changes things up with this course, I think, because of how dependent it is on who's showing up on the day.
I love hearing you say that. That is really astute. You are racing the other racers much more than you're racing the course. The course is an inanimate object. It's like a canvas that an artist uses to create their masterpiece. And you certainly who you vanquish along the way is going to be the story. And knowing their strengths and weaknesses, that's why experience matters for one reason. It's to be honest with you, Nathan, we talk a lot about course recon, and it matters to know what's going up. I would say that if you had to choose between knowing a lot about the course that you're going to be racing on or a lot about the racers that you're racing against, I would much rather have the intel on my competitors because we're all going to be racing on the same course one way or another. You've either done your homework and are fit or you're not. You either have the ability to win bike races or you don't, right? But that knowledge is something that that's what experience will bring you. And that's one of the really interesting things about racing in this esports platform. This course is going to become, I think, very quickly one of my favorites because it does offer you a lot to work with out here. And as you said, Nathan, the experience that riders have and knowing that if you let a gap open up at a couple critical points, just like on Innsbruck Ring, right? So if you happen to let a 5-foot gap open as you go up and over the top of leg snapper, it could be game over within 15, 20 seconds. There's a couple places out here where that's true today as well.
Yeah, over the top of that climb is definitely also the little bit of flat going through the middle of the volcano. We'll get into the standings as well in a moment as we do watch the riders, though. The ladies, they're about to start in on their first climb. They've made their way through the first two arches for their power ups on the day. So, first arch where they were able to grab a power up on the day was over at the leaving of the piers and through the initial banner that's just outside of the piers. And then the lap finish banner for the volcano is also going to be where they can grab a power up. I did see a lot of the invisibility as well as a couple of the even some arrows and feathers were popped actually coming on through. So maybe some riders looking for something a little bit different out there today. Perhaps it'll be the feather power up that they'll be looking for. I wouldn't be surprised if the few riders may be preferring that, especially on the steeper parts of the King of the Mountain out here today. But for the current situation on the team standings, in this league right now, it is going to be Finesse Rockets at the top, 2 points behind with Sars the Pros Closet. Then it's going to be Ego Watt, the new splash out there, Dave.
Yeah, well, Nathan, as you were saying on World of Zwift this week, this might be the best battle that it's really two battles for the price of one that you're looking at, although things can change. We're into week 6 of 8 now. We only have Libby Hill After Party and Greatest London Flat for the final team time trial. So there's not that much racing left. So practicality tells me that the Finesse Rockets and Saris the Pros Closet, they're going to have their own battle. It could go either way, although Saris the Pros Closet is going to need a little bit of help, but Agawatt or Cryogen Gallopin, and that's the other team, Nathan. Look where they're sitting, just 1 point behind Agawatt. That's going to be unbelievable. Everybody benefits for having this kind of scenario going into the final 3 races. So they've just finished. It's almost like a lollipop course here. They start it down in town and race out onto the circuit. You can see they've completed that. They're now into the meat and potatoes of lap number 1 of 3 out here. Nathan, so the ghost power up is in effect, huh? That's kind of gone back and forth, but or at least in my mind, whether it was available or not.
Yeah, in the women's race yesterday, it was unavailable. It got replaced. I think it was just a mistake. So in the women's race, instead of the tag was 1 number off, I think, or something along those lines. So I think that's what ended up happening. So
it was interesting because we'd been using just the standard 3, right? The helmet, the feather, and
invisibility,
the van.
Right. And we had yesterday, that's exactly, I think, what happened, and it just ended up not getting changed, perhaps, but invisibility has been on everything, I think, except for the women's race in the Premier Division yesterday.
I love seeing this, Nathan. Paisley Sheehan there is getting stronger and stronger. She did one of those in real life events that we had as Zwift would do, the Zwift National Tour. She came out and fell in love with Zwifting, and now I see her riding up near the front of the group. But that's going to be the team to watch out here today, Saris the Pros Closet. They, along with Finesse Rockets, are the cream of the crop, without any doubt. Now, this is Megan Easler that we're looking at. But, Nathan, this battle here, there's a ripple effect that comes off of it. Now, you're going to see it's not a huge field that we start with. A lot of quality riders in this group, however, but I have a feeling we're going to see that selection coming out of a selection each lap out here on the Volcano KOM. But this is one of the teams that's certainly going to be pressing the issue. They're doing it right now. You can see the yellow and green of Saris the Pros Closet moving to the front. You'd expect to see the Finesse Rockets responding to this. And it's going to be all hands on deck pretty quickly here. I don't want to go full throttle myself because Nathan, I've said it before, but this is the most exciting racing I think that we get to see out here week in, week out. Just unbelievably high level of tactics and excitement. And okay, Nathan, here we go. This does not look like these ladies are going to be playing around out here.
Megan Rathwell selected the Canyon with Mellensteins, I believe. I can't read it. It looks like they're Mellensteins if I'm
What do you
not
think?
incorrect. So she is showing up to climb. And I think they're going to really have her. I think that she is going to be a slugger out here today, that they've put her out there. I'm kind of like, I feel like going in for the win, but also it's your third line in a hockey lineup where it's like, and she's Canadian. So I'm thinking, all right, like, she's showing up to go out there and rough them up. Like, show up on this bike and give everything you got on the climb to make it absolutely hurt and break things apart. Because unless you break this pack apart, it's going to snowball again. And it's doing exactly that. Look at the back of this
Look
field.
at this.
Totally shattered back there. And it's getting the work done. And everybody from Sarsa Pro's Closet in the yellow kits are exactly where they need to be, up toward the front end of this pack, finding those wheels regardless of the pace that's being set.
That is such a great point that you're making. And Nathan, even if she only does it for one lap, it helps set the table for her team. I like that analogy with the hockey as well. The third line concept is like, hey, listen, if they can get in there and have an impact, now would be the time. Let's see who's responding to this now, Nathan, as this is going to be extremely interesting. Alana Brady, Cryogen Gallopin, what a season she's had. I call her a next level rider. Cryogen has also been in fuego out here. Very, very nice to see. Ashley McIntosh is having a good day. Carrie Merritt punching above her weight. Another Canadian, Debbie Woods Turner, also looking very strong out here. This group is motoring right now. You can see it flattens out for a little bit. Whole lot of lava, they call this course. I don't know that, the visual effect of all of that molten lava there just makes me feel hot. I'm not even on my trainer.
Real quickly on the whole idea, yeah, things are heating up on the train.
You know what I mean?
There's
It's
houses
effective.
for sure. They definitely are very much so. But I want to speak to the overalls in these standings that we saw. The point difference between Cryogen and Egowatt was 1 point. If we think about what's happening with this graphic real quickly, we'll come right back to the racing. We have 8 women's maximum 8 women's team across all of those. Top 2 eligible teams from each A1 division, top 3 teams from the points. So, there is a battle at the top here between Sarsa Pro's Closet and Finesse Rockets that's going to be going on. But really at this point, is it really just about the pride between them at this point? The eligible teams from each A1 division. So that means we're going to be pulling from America's East, America's West, and as well as the EMEA and APAC, the top 2 in each one of those. So really what's interesting is that this is setting up between Sarsa Pro's Closet and Finesse Rockets here for what we may see in the playoffs between them as well.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to see what they can do in those playoffs, Nathan. When you look at it, the point structure here, and I know most of the folks out there, if you're watching now, you're well aware of how this all works. But it is really hard to make a big move late in the season with the way things are set up. It speaks about consistency here, but the winning team will get 20 points, 19 for the second, third place team today will get 18 points. So you can see that it's really hard to take a 5-point jump out there, because that really means you need your competitors to have the wheels come off. And that, for all intents and purposes, we just don't see that out here. A team like Saris, especially, they are coming in so prepared. As we take a look now, this is going to be the Royal Cycling Club, I believe. Getting used to this jersey here. The riders representing Guelph, the royal city there in Canada. And Patrick here starting to string the group out even a little more as the grade kicks up to 4%. It never really gets that steep, Nathan, but there's about a 4K sector where it averages over 3%.
Yeah, nothing's really too steep until that final kick. And really the final kick is where everything can really go down when it comes to the big splits. It gets into the teens there for just a moment on the percentage gradient, and that's where the biggest splits obviously can be happening. So the men are just jumping out on course. I'm just going to give you guys a quick little shot of how that is going on with the doubles 2 screen here in just a moment. We will be in with the men's race with them as well as they make their way out on course. It is going to be watch out for next as well as ATP, Cryo, Apex is out there, and the Dirt Squad. ZHQ Rockets are in there as well. So, men, just getting out on course. We're going to stick with the women as they finish up their Queen of the Mountain, though.
I always consider this, Nathan, a good problem to have. But with all of the different men's races, which one are you going to be focusing on today? I know we've been trying to give everybody some time in the limelight out there.
Yeah, so this week we are on the Division 1A across all of the racing at this point, being into the final weeks.
Gotcha.
We are focusing in on the place where the playoffs are going to be taking place. So we already have Isler here now. A little bit of attack here coming from Sasha Post Closet, looking for those big points over the top. Agawatt, right? Though. Rathwell now on the attack. It looks like Monks, though, always with that snap. She really is the rider to watch out for, even across the line. At the end of the day, this might just be the warm-up for the final. Rathwell trying to go across, but unable to do so. Agawatt with McIntosh. This is great to see. It's Finesse, Rathwell, McIntosh. That's the top three teams, all coming with riders across the top here now together. They got a gap here now. Interesting
all top four teams, actually. Cryo gets up there right for the fourth. Yeah, that's awesome. So just to note, Nathan, that is not the finish line of the race. The finish line we'll see a little bit later for another sprint coming up. But that is the Queen of the Mountain that we just went through. We scored that 10 deep as well. So that's one of the things people have really loved about this season is the way things, there's more points available in the bonuses, but look what that has done now. We're starting to see these little groups forming out here. This will come back together to a certain extent, but not everybody's going to get back on the train here, Nathan. What a great shot that is, looking down onto the shores of Watopia.
Does look like a little bit of a group is going to be forming. Laura Perry here, Agawatt, Christina Grossman just ahead there. It is going to be Cameron as well, jumping onto the wheel of one of the RCC riders here. Little bit of a gap going back there, and unless Isler and the rest here get on terms, that's going to fly away from them. Not a very big group back here, so this isn't going to snowball very much. This is what I was talking about. Little packs like this, if they don't get this right, there's a tipping point of numbers of riders that need to be in and amongst the group in order to really be able to snowball that speed downhill. Grossman climbing very well today.
She's amazing.
Extremely impressed, actually, with where she's standing amongst this crowd right now. Being a sprinter on the team rather than a pure climber. So she's very, very well placed. If they keep bringing her over the top of the climb, watch out for everything going plaid. That's for sure at the end of the race.
Well, she'll be the best sprinter left, Nathan. That's been a big part of the story out here. Grossman, the rider there
Monks,
with blonde hair.
I would say watch out. I would say her versus Monks would be the thing. Yes. So I wouldn't count Monks out.
I wouldn't be too surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see that, Nathan. Paisley Sheehan has made, so there's a rider who's gone up a couple of levels with her esports abilities. That's outstanding. Let's take a look. Alana Brady is in this group. Ashley McIntosh is out here. Let's see. You mentioned Catherine Monks and Christina Grossman. Jane Tullis, no surprise there. Debbie Woods-Turner in there. Carrie Murrett should be the Z-Sun rider that's in this selection. This is quite a group, and I realize that we've got two more trips up Volcano KOM. We'll see if anybody's able to join this group, but this is the vanguard, no doubt about it. Nathan, I'm 99.999% sure that the winner of this race is on our screen right now. Remembering, as I say, winner of the race, sure, there's always going to be the glory in that, but it is a team competition. And that's really the name of the game out here. Taking a look at how the points were scored there. So we've actually had two bonuses now. These are the points again from so far today that we're looking at.
So we do have, it looks like Catherine Monk's able to take down not only the first across the line, but also the fastest time segment here. It does look like Agawatt there, though, with 15 points for a few points back for that second place across for the fastest time segment as well. And then Rathwell, though, Sarsa Pro's Closet. So 30, 23, 19 in that order. Currently, Sarsa Pro's Closet a little bit behind, maybe. Well, Agawatt, though, not having too many in that top 10 still. Laura Perry able to grab a quick 4 points. Christina, though, great job by her. Again, as I said earlier, not the best climber usually. Still, 5 and 5. That puts them on the board there with 29 points total from what I can see across all of the women for. And then Cameron's there as well. doing a little bit of math, and we've got Sarsa Pro's Closet with a pretty solid point accumulation, but Catherine Monks with 30 at the top right now. That's only one rider though. Where's the rest of the Rockets in that?
Yeah, you start really when you take inventory in this group, as they're so tightly packed together here as well. You start looking at, well, obviously, Sarah's the Pros Closet has put 3 riders up into this group. Now, how many did Finesse Rockets get up there? I see that the RCC, the Royal City Cyclists, have 1. The teams that you really wonder about, though, Cryogen Gallopin, I see 1, 2 trial pin jerseys, maybe 3. I think it's 2, actually. Agawatt, Finesse are the other 2 teams that really are in the conversation as the top teams on the table in the league right now. Let's see who else we've got. It's again, they have 2 more trips up. If you've made this selection, you're feeling pretty good about things. You take a look around. No, it's never going to be comfortable going over that Volcano KOM. I mean, this is a lot of climbing. It's almost deceptive the way it comes at you out here today. I mean, in about an hour of racing, they're going to do over 500 meters of climbing. I mean, they've already done almost 200. That's a lot of climbing at 1,600 meters to not be considered an all-out climbing course out here.
Definitely is. For the men's side of things right now, they are just about to start their first climb on the day. Look at this pack right now, and look at all the color in and amongst them. Lots of Tron bikes out here today. There's been a lot of discussion about what bike selection, and it looks like for the day when it comes to the top teams in the community, almost everybody is really focused in on the Trons here. Now, I do see a couple of climber setups, though, on here today as well, similar to what we saw from Rathwell. So interesting to see how that ends up playing out. But I believe the Tron has overall performed extremely well on the day. Those who do come to the line, though, are able to come over the top with something that's a little bit more of a sprinter, something more of a, maybe show up to the TTT as well. A lot of people maybe jumping onto the Venge with the 858 Supers. I don't see too many. It's a little risky. If the pace is really high over the top of the climb, it can get pretty risky to try and pull that off. But if you do, it is going to really benefit in the final sprints. There is a lot of jostling at this point. Maybe just hanging out, though. Nobody's going to want to put in too much of an effort at the, before they hit the climb, because that's right now it's all about just resting, making sure you're chilling, and reserving any matches before that KOM.
I have a friend who, when he got on Zwift, the first thing he did was activate the pursuit of getting a Tron bike. And I'm going to say, Nathan, that he had it by the time he was level 22, something like that. Low 20s, he had a Tron bike, and I was kind of blown away by that. Look how many of these guys have spent a lot of time on Zwift. I mean, that's 50,000 meters of climbing to have that bike. I don't know of any other way to get a Tron bike. 50,000 meters of climbing. In order to do that much vertical, you've got to ride your bike for quite a bit of time, to be honest. I just saw the women's Everest record was broken again. The Everest record by V Win, 7 hours and 33 minutes of riding to do 8,000 meters, or actually 8,800 and a little. But that's full gas. That's racing pace to do that, right? So these guys have spent a lot of time on Zwift.
See a little bit of Hi Mom here come on through here from Everyman Jack Team A Church. Hammering away out of the US of A. 152 beats per minute. Really right into an endurance type zone, most likely. Wrecking ball.
They're talking about Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, that's supposedly what they're playing. I'm not sure if that's a play on words there. We might have to mute that individual. So we'll see how that ends up playing out.
Just on
here.
principle, right?
Yeah. But a little bit of a bye mom here, because I'm not sure Church thinks he's going to be hanging on. Watch out here as far as the teams go and who we need to be keeping our eyes on. I did notice that we do have Jordan Rapp hanging out here, so good to see he's jumping in amongst the ZHQ Rockets here. Former employee now hanging out over with the Apex game and on the game dev side of things. But these are not the points that we're looking for. This is from earlier today, but you can see Zach Harrod was absolutely flying earlier today. We're looking for the standings. I'll see if I can bring those up in just a second. The current situation.
These are the men that we've got on screen right now, just kind of getting into the climb. Look at this attack going clear. As boy, that's impressive there. So the men rolling out on lap number 1 of 3 now. So they've finished the little prologue that they have that leads them out onto the loop. And yeah, they're going to make this climb hard, no doubt about it. A lot of guys are going to, back in the middle part of this group, are realizing that this is not going to be an easy trip up the Volcano KOM. Here we go. So, you could look at the fastest segment element of this, which is unique to the community, as well as the fact that they're ways away, but there's going to be points. And looks like, speaking of the Zwift headquarters Rockets, they're going to be in the mix as Kieran Lewis out of Australia has hit out. So we've got a big attack going clear right now. Tabalong, Lewis have left the group. They've flown the coop early here on the Volcano KOM. This is the next level team that has been so much fun to watch. They're on a perfect season at this point. Nathan, I would say that one of the best stories going in the world of Zwift right now is this next level squad. We'll have plenty of time to talk about all the stars that make up that team. Cryogen Alpe d'Huez has done a great job of fighting and holding on to second place, because you can see right behind them, with tied at 84 points, is ATP Racing Hydrogen and Endurance Works. And just behind them, you can see Cannondale Echelon presented by 4i. And 3 points back would be Royal City Cycling. They're one of the teams that has a men's and women's squad out here today, like Cryogen. So, all right, Tabalong and Lewis together off the front on the Volcano KOM. This is the signature climb of today's race, 42 kilometers by the time this one is done and dusted, but the peloton's not going to play around. Actually, look at the back of the group, though. Look how ragged that is. It looks like Battlestar Galactica with all of those extra spaceships just floating along. You knew they weren't going to be there for that long.
Really spread out here at this point, and this is a danger moment, having to put in extra effort because of those little splits that you allowed, maybe being out of position. Now the left hand turn into another kick into a 4, 5, 6% gradient. If anybody puts the afterburners on through this next section, it is going to split the group again very quickly. Riders at the back here, they're going to have their heart rates skyrocketed most likely. The people who have been sitting mid-pack, though, following wheels very closely, resting up as much as they can. This is the section of the pack you need to watch out for, where Cosman is, Smith, Fletcher is there as well, Kilborn. They've all been playing it very smart up until this point. Krasicki, that's a name to watch out for, exactly where we've been talking about. I also saw the name Caleb Carl in there, Mont St. Pierre, Hurd. Big names when it comes to this final kick over the top, and they've all been poised at that section of the pack that gets you the most amount of draft, the limited amount of effort. Josh Lipka able to make this climb. Good on him. Usually more toward the sprinter and ruler type here. If he can make it over the top of a couple of times, watch out for him in a sprint here. Solid effort by Josh.
Yeah, the thing about this climb, we're talking about Grossman in the women's race, Josh Lipka here. The sprinters are the riders that have more of that high end. It's not a severe climb. So if you can get into your rhythm, it's not the worst experience of the world, I should say. As I have a feeling a few riders are going to have to really fight to hold on here, as we're not that far away from another level of sprinting. As Kieran Lewis still up here on the front, he's going to look to be Pac-Man and gobble up as many points as he can, as they're going to see that arch pretty soon here. The Volcano KOM, another point to score points here. Many opportunities along the way, and they all matter.
No, I just hit Jameson from Canada.
Ghost.
4i throws the ghost down. I saw 15 watts per kilogram from him very quickly there. 178 beats per minute right now. Gets the response here from Swift Touch. No, up in that feather power up, though. He didn't get the gap I think he was looking for. Now next, cover it very quickly. Lewis now comes across 8.6. Now we're going to get into the real. This is the section of the course where really the pressure is going to be on. And this is the bread and the butter right now, really, of what this course is all about. Now, next to the front, now 180 beats per minute. None of the big attacks just yet, though.
Siarka, the Polish rider here for Cryogen now, extending, pushing, because they know that we're sorting out the top 10 for points right now. Let's see. Someone's going to come over the top.
Yeah, really, these initial attacks, whenever I'm climbing this course, they really they're not what really scare me too much. As long as it doesn't split me off the back, what really is this climb really is about this final kick. It's almost like a final kick to the finish line, the way that it is usually written. And there it is, Grusicki. Now this is what we're talking about. 200 meters to the line, 11 watts per kilogram. Catanzaro, now this is where it's on. Can he hold on to the gap? Will there be the kind of explosiveness from the back here? It looks like Next might be able to hang on. 1, 2, no. Goes first, Kieran Lewis. ZHQ Rockets comes through for second, it looks like. Solid kicks. We'll see what the rest of the points are through here, as well as what the fastest time was. We can bring in the leaderboard, see what's going on with that. And it is going to be a 5:52. 3 seconds slower, actually, from what we saw in the EMEA.
So Grosicki and Nair get up there as well. So Next puts 3 riders in the top 6. That's a good job by the team that comes in so far with a perfect score. 5 wins and 5 opportunities. This is the 6th of 8 races, and this is going to put a lot of riders in trouble. As a matter of fact, we'll watch closely here. That small gap can turn into a dangerously large chasm super quickly. We have a very, very interesting moment happening right now.
Now, you do see here this front group. It's going to come all back together there. The group that's really in trouble is the one that's just underneath the friends list nearby. That group is most likely not going to see the front of the race again unless they go full orange beast mode here in just a moment. And there's a little play on words, obviously, there is a full orange team in game, but they need to go all in. As you see Rap here, every time someone's at the back of this pack, they need to kick into orange, sprint over the top, get into super tuck. And they kind of need to take turns doing that, or else the speeds will just not get high enough to bring back 64, 65 kilometers per hour. Now you see back here, 60 kilometers per hour. Look at that difference. Same gradient on the downhill. It just might not be happening here with the avalanche up ahead.
Yeah, races are not only won on the uphill, that is for sure. And that's a deceptive gap right there. It's really interesting. It's all in perspective, right? If you're trying to close that gap, it looks massive. If you're in the group up in front, it doesn't look like all that much. These guys have got some real work to do here.
Look at this speed difference here. Back on the back here, 69.
It just gets worse and worse,
70 most likely here in just a moment. We go back here, 64. Full 5 kilometers per hour. The seconds go out so incredibly quickly. Almost second by second, there's a gain in just a moment here. They are keeping it within 5 now. Most likely going to come up pretty quickly, though, as they get into this flatter section. Now, if everybody sits up, though, they may have a chance, but they're going to have to essentially be in a full-on effort like they just had over the top. They're going to have to do that on the downhill now and not really get any reprieve.
Yeah, that's a tough way to manage lap 1, that's for sure. Chasing for your life down the volcano. It doesn't bode well for the rest of the race, but you never know as well. As you said, maybe a little bit out of position, and some riders come good throughout the course of an hour. This is, again, 2 groups that we're looking at out here on lap number 1 of 3 on the volcano circuit. We're going to have the women a lot deeper into their race now, as it looks like pretty good-sized group still together here as they're well into the climb at this point. We join with Catherine Monks, one of the favorited riders, I would say. Someone else using their Ghost power-up there.
Yeah, Rathwell actually right next to Monks here. This is a great little duo to try and get off the front. They did have a little bit of attack. They were off screen when it happened, but there was a little attack midway toward the bottom of the climb, able to break things apart. It did get a gap over some of the other riders here, Anna Russell and others in this chase, unable to stick with it here. This is going to be out behind into the top, I want to say 12 or so. They're just in the top 12 or 12 riders. So there's going to be 11 or so plus riders that have made this front group. That's up and over the top. Rathwell on the attack now. I think she was reserving for this second time over the top. And able maybe to hold off Monks. 8 watts per kilogram. Can she grab on the wheel? Will Monks fade at all? Or is she going to continue on? No, Monks continues. 10 watts per kilogram over the top. McIntosh is going to settle for second again. Rathwell for third. And then Cryogen Brady. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Similar situation we saw last time. Great on the ladies here. Sheehan now for fifth. And oh no! Nipped at the line. And it's going to be Cameron just ahead of Sheehan, it looks like, there for Sarsa Pro's Closet.
Boy, now
This might
what?
be going. This might be going,
Yeah,
Dave.
I was just going to say, I think this is a lot more than just a bonus sprint. This has blown the race to bits out here. As a matter of fact, this is a completely new chapter of the book. We no longer have a front group. It is every woman for herself out here on Watopia right now. Let's see what happens here, Nathan. We might be, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a group of about 10, 12 riders, but off the front right now, Catherine Monk's phenomenal. I mean, this is definitely her coming out party this season 2 of the ZRL. She's going to be a player, I think, in the Premier League with the numbers that she is making out here. Alana Brady also exceptional job for the cryogen rider. Looks like a group of 4, Nathan. Let's see if Paisley Sheehan can get up there and join. She was the rider. She and Claire Cameron came over the line together. Wow, what a race. What a dynamic we have out here. There's Claire Cameron with Sarah's the Pros Closet. This is the front group that we're looking at. Well, the chasing group, I should say.
4 seconds back at this point. We're going to try and compare a little bit of the speeds here. It does look like
I think this comes together,
per
Nathan. My guess is that these 4 will be joined by that chasing group. No point with another time up the climb. They know they've got the legs. I don't think that it's worth the effort to hold them off right now.
Yeah, looking here, I'm just trying to get a gauge on what kind of work that they're doing, the way that they're working together. Rathwell ahead, she's just sitting on. She's not that interested to try and make anything stick at this point. Lana Brady, 3 watts per kilogram. They're not really trying, it seems like, to stay away. It's just kind of status quo, it looks like. Nobody really putting any serious work. It is going to be Perry that puts in a little dig from Agawatt at 4 watts per kilogram. So that's going to bring up a little bit of speed. We do the comparison, 56. They're not even in super tuck range at this point. While behind, they're most definitely getting into super tuck. So what I want to definitely point out again, Monks and Grossman, both here still. So the big sprinters on the day that we need to be watching out for from the 2 top teams, they are here. And Christina, I don't know if she's been putting in some solid VO2 or some great FTP efforts here. And you did make a great point about the reality of this climb is that there are a lot of ups and downs in it. There are some sections to get some good reprieves. And if you do have that extra little grit to just hang on.
Steep. Right, and it's never so steep that wattage per kilogram monster has a huge advantage over you.
Yeah, man. So my experience of this climb is maybe just, I mean, it's hard. It's insane. It's really, really hard. Like, you know, the way, but you race it in a way that's cagey though, because of the realities of the ups and the downs. You know that pack can come back to you. It really comes down to, and the only race that I've seen so far where the full-on risks were taken in ways that were able to make it stick was Rachel Elliott this past afternoon. And her and Leah Thorvaldsen off the front working together, able to really just snap the elastic. But you know, it depends on how the racers race it. If from bottom to top at 6 watts per kilogram in the men's field, if we saw something like that, I think it'd be a little bit different story. But I do believe that a lot of the riders are just kind of watching each other. So it does depend on how the racers race it for sure, because almost 6 minutes of 6+ watts per kilogram. That's your heart's in your throat. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, you say, yeah, this is such an interesting course because it doesn't have those crazy gradients, the 15%, the headline grabbing parts of the climb, but it is an exceptional amount of vertical gain. It is not for the weak of heart. So, I mean, I think if you're going back to Christina Grossman, you have to be really happy with where you're at for a rider who I think really originally was looking at herself maybe 6 months ago as someone who's pretty handy in the sprints and the harder courses, but would mentally kind of check out on a climbing day. Well, no reason to anymore if she's in this front group right now. And as you look around, the team in black, Agawatt, has got to be loving the day that they're having out here. They've got 3 riders in this group. If I'm seeing things correctly, it can be a little tricky sometimes, but I think that both Sarah's the Pros Closet and Agawatt have 3 in our front group right now.
Yeah, looking through,
It's a
Alana
good day for
Brady is
Agawatt.
here for cryogen. We also, I think Debbie Woods made this front group as well
Debbie
here
Woods
from
Turner is
CryoGen.
there for the
Yeah,
other
so that's
CryoGen rider. Yep.
going to be two CryoGen riders up in this front group. Finesse Rockets are sitting really pretty with 1, 2, 3, 4 riders. Catherine Monks, Sarah Bishop is here, Haley Boyle, Abigail Schneider. So they definitely are set up for a lot of
So,
points.
Nathan, I would have to say that I think we might see a Monks Grossman throwdown here. That last trip over the QOM, it tells me that they weren't able to get more than 4 or 5 second advantage there. I have a feeling that this group more or less will make it into the final K. Something close to this. We'll probably lose a couple riders along the way, as it looks like another ticket is getting punched there. And that's the reality. If this is the longest day of racing that we have this season for season 2, that's Paisley there fighting up in
Interesting to
Montana
see.
right
1.8
now.
watts per kilogram locked. 1.8. Something is happening here. That I don't think that
A
she's in
technical,
trouble. Yeah,
yeah.
she is locked at 1.8 and screaming at her computer right now, most likely, or at least in a lot of frustration, because that is not normal.
That's bummer.
Whatever was going on
She's
there,
having a
and
great
that's
day too. Yeah, that was
really
a
good
big
day.
ride for Paisley. Yeah, she'll be back. I guarantee you she'll be back. Nathan, as a matter of fact, I bet you by season 3, we're talking about Paisley winning races like this. Bummer, Paisley. Sorry to see that.
Yeah.
All right, back with Megan Rathwell now in this front group. Boy, this sport is rough, isn't it, Nathan? You can be on a great day and things out of your control, just like in real life.
Very punishing, that's for sure. Now, looking through the watts per kilogram for these riders amongst the women, and we were talking about the battle between that we think may be happening across the finish line if they cannot drop Grossman, because Monks is the better climber, obviously, from what we have seen, at least in our experience from the day to day, also from what we can see from a lot of the power profiles. But if they bring Christina Grossman to the line, 11.4 watts per kilogram for 15 seconds is a full 2 watt per kilogram more. So.
Agreed.
But Alana Brady also has a serious kick. We haven't seen it over the top of the climb, similar to what we've seen from Grossman, though Grossman actually a little ways back comparatively to Alana Brady. Alana Brady kind of sitting in the middle of those two. She could be an upset amongst that battle we've been talking about. Crouch and Galopin. I would not count them out for a final sprint if this all comes to the line.
You know, it's really interesting, and it speaks to, Nathan, how your knowledge of the course is so important. But if you're Catherine Monks, I think the play here is to do what you did. Again, win the bonus points on that QOM the next time you see it. But it's not worth it to attack by yourself or with a couple of riders with a strong group behind you out here. You might risk, the risk is greater than the reward, I would think, in that case, because you're right. I mean, she's proven to herself that as far as an uphill sprint goes, she should think she's pretty close to unbeatable. Christina Grossman would love to argue that. Certainly will be happy to go mano a mano out here and test that if that's the case. But for the ideal scenario, if you're Monks, you don't let it quite come down to that, but you don't want to go too early as well, because Grossman has some really strong teammates that can help her bring some things back.
Going to go ahead and jump on in with the men here as they're getting about halfway up through their climb, I believe, onto their second go at it. It is going to still be a large group here at this point as we're in with Kieran Lewis. They're about to get into the second half of this. Now, he was super aggressive, obviously, over the top of that first time through. We're waiting on a few of the preems here still on the men's side of things. America's East Division 1, I think we're still struggling on a few of the on the splits or the segments here. As soon as we can get those through, we will let everybody know where the points currently stand. Again, though, attacks on the front. Is that going to be heard with a little bit of a gap, actually? I believe he went super early. I'll see if I can get a replay of where this was. It must have been a bottom to the top because he was not with them as they went into the flatter sections to the middle of the volcano. 6.5 watts per kilogram, 6.8. Now, this is something he might have been watching, Rachel. Now, one thing I do want to say is that if you go bottom to the top, they will bring back some time through the flatter sections, the little undulations. They'll gain speed. They'll snowball a little through each one of those sections, blobbing up. But you have to trust the seconds through these uphill grinds, because that extra 5 or whatever it might be, if you're able to do more than the pack and they let up at all, you will extend your lead once again. Now, you do see, though, they're not all that interested in letting that go. They're not really sitting up. They're pushing now 6. So there is work being done at the front here. In the women's race, it was a little bit different where they tried to bring it back. They got within about 5 seconds. Rachel had the continuance and then extended because they sat up thinking, oh, it's within distance. We'll bring it back. Nope. She went on and ended up winning the race. Doesn't look like that's happening here. This pack, much more motivated.
Yeah, that's not a chase group. That's a peloton nailing you back. And look at the speeds. I mean, they're moving at 35 kilometers per hour on a 5 or 4% uphill grade right now. So there's the catch. That's been made. Now get ready for another sprint here. Scored 10 deep coming up pretty quickly for the guys as they're halfway through lap number 2 at this point. That is a huge group together. That's pretty similar to what we saw in the Premier League, to tell you the truth. Massive group here. And there have been some big efforts made at the front. So there's a depth in when you look at it around the globe in all of our different community leagues. This is one that has this particular group has some real talent in it. There's Premier League talent out here, no doubt about it. It looks like Cryo. Tabalong has had an excellent day. Can he set up Siarka out here? The Polish rider Siarka has been phenomenal. This is pretty similar. Kieran Lewis there in the green helmet with the orange jersey. It's going to be a rider looking to upset the CryoGen party, but there's still so many points. It looks like a little bit of a split back from the top 5 right now. So it's going to be CryoGen and Siarka. It looks like grabbing maximum bonification if he can hold on for a few more. So no, maybe not. There's the gantry. There's the charge. Now is Grosiski next doing it again. Catanzaro right behind him. So next has been dominant out here, and they do it again. First, second, then Lewis for third. Caleb Carl across the line for Skylab in fourth, and Weselius in fifth. That's always going to be interesting to see what kind of damage a sprint like that does behind the guys. There's going to be a few riders that got tailed out of that group. It was so large. You wonder,
Lewis keeps on throwing his, whenever I've seen this a couple of times, people throwing down their invisibility power-ups. Like, just get rid of that right now. I don't even care about that. I
think so. Right, just toss it.
I just don't even want to think about it later. I might forget. I don't want to forget. Just get rid of it. I don't want it.
It would be like if you handed a rider a Diet Coke in the last 5K.
Tabalong is out. You see that?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Lost power. He got a phone call.
Wow.
Oh,
and he's no doubt one of the strongest riders out here.
What is he Zwifting on that?
Phone call.
What is happening that a phone call? I'm sorry, Tabalong, but why is a phone call going to destroy the power connection, bud? Oh man, not good. Not good to see. Too bad.
So is he on AOL dial-up? Is he on an AOL dial-up?
He may be Zwifting through his phone too. I mean, you can Zwift on your phone.
I guess so. Yeah, absolutely, you can.
I mean, and if you're Zwifting on your phone and you're not using Wi-Fi to do it, perhaps he's on his.
Maybe he's at a guest house or something, or I don't know. But that's a bummer. There's no way that a rider gets to this level without being aware that you don't want to do this using AT&T.
I mean, he could be on 4G, and that's the reason why, is that it interrupts or something along those lines.
And he was having such a great day. I mean, so far we've seen two, Paisley Sheehan and Tabalong here, who are both riding exceptionally well, having some kind of bizarre technical. Ouch.
Big ouch. Okay, so looking through here, looks like on the men's side of things, we're waiting for a couple of the preems still to come on through, but it was Next have been absolutely dominant so far. They were 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 the first time over the top. Lewis was stuck right in the middle of there with the ZHQ Rockets, but Next are going to the next level. We were doing some analysis actually through the last couple of weeks, getting an idea on the TTT is really a good way to see who's going to be making the Premier Division in some ways, but since the points races are not just about the strongest, the strongest across the line, you have to be tactical as well. But Next have definitely shown that they can put in efforts amongst the best when it comes to power and tactics in the TTT. I believe that amongst the Premier Division times, they were somewhere within the top 5 to 10. So this is a team to be watching out for. As far as the top 2 to 3 go, though, in these standings for the men's. Then after that, CryoGen Altuaz, and then it's going to be Endurance Works, ATP Racing Hydrogen. It's 84. I'm just going to put this right over the top here, give everybody an idea. I mean, next here, obviously unstoppable so far, but that 89, 84, 84, I wouldn't count any of those out
Agreed.
just yet. They could. Cryogen need to stay on it because we saw it in the Premier Division where one bad week can put you down 5 places with the big jumps here. So Endurance works. And I mean, look where Lipka's sitting in here with a solid sprint. He's been able to make it over 2 climbs. Watch out for Josh Lipka today.
Yeah, this is a next level ride for him, no doubt. But Nathan, your point is a really good one. Those 3 teams sitting second, third, and fourth, don't worry about next level. And next level, when they are promoted, I see that it is inevitable, to tell you the truth. They're going to be one of the top squads as soon as they show up in the Premier League. I don't doubt that at all. But let's go back right now to this ride from Josh Lewis. If these guys out here, Wouter Zwart as well, the ATP rider, nicely tucked in this group. So we've whittled this one down quite a bit, Nathan. That front group is half the size it was a lap ago for the men. For the women now, it looks like Megan Rathwell's back at it. She's got the pain stick out. She is bashing away out there. Laura Perry, the Agawatt rider, well, she's arrived. That's a name we're going to be talking a lot more about in the future, as it looks like this one's just about to start unraveling it now. I see Quick is up there. Let's take a look for Christina Grossman. She should be, that's her teammate setting the pace, so hopefully she's not going so hard. Yep, Grossman's okay, right in the draft.
Yeah, Ashley McIntosh is along with Petrick. They have really been setting the pace to try and bring this back. 5.243. Now you can see not really able to get on the wheel though. Rathwell again kicks. Now back to 2.5, 5.8 here. So she's kind of trying to get in, find her rhythm, maybe get the separation and confidence to hold on here. 5.4 now watts per kilogram. And it's just not quite another half a watt per kilogram. It would really be able to put the work in here. I'm going to see if she can perhaps
At least she's keeping
snap elastic, though, because nobody's on her wheel. So they have to put the work in, and a couple of riders just pulling along. It surprises me that the RCC woman here, though, is willing to put this work in. 5 meters, though, so it looks like Quick and the rest are not actually on the wheel. This is separating now.
Yeah, this is a team that's under some great leadership when you talk about Sarah's the Pros Clause. And I would think that what they're trying to do is put pressure on the other riders, including all of the finesse rockets out here. As I mean, they don't want to give.
Brady saw it was a threat there. Lana goes right across and shuts it right on down. That's the move there coming from Alana Brady. And Lana Brady, she's the one I was talking about earlier that maybe being somebody who wants this to come down to at least be involved in the final sprint here. She may be able to challenge the likes of Grossman and the rest. But now back into the final kick. Rathwell here now with that feather power up. Will she be able to take down Monks? Monks has been on it each and every time. Invisibility power up. They're not even going to know she's there until all of a sudden she's going to appear. But Rathwell, she might be able to pull this off. She hasn't been able to do it so far. But there it is. Megan Rathwell grabs one of the Queen of the Mountains. Solid effort. And she drove the pace all the way to that point, then still continues on. This looks like Alana wants to give it a go.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is going to be Alana Brady that we're looking at right now, the Cryogen Gallopin rider. And I like the moxie of this move. She's going to put the accelerator down on the floorboard here. That's going to be Megan Rathwell right behind her, Ashley McIntosh, and then Monks, who comes in as one of the favorites to win this race. But Cryogen, no one puts baby in a corner, as we say. And Cryogen is hitting hard right now. They're down to about 5K of racing. Well, make it more like 6K of racing until this one is done and dusted. But this race has blown to bits out here now, as we expected on the Volcano QOM. This is certainly a rider to watch right in the crux of this situation here. Again, this is the front as Rathwell joining Brady. Those are those two. And right behind them, I expect it to be a group of 4 here pretty quickly, Nathan.
Yeah, might be a group of 4 here. It looks like Rathwell's sitting up, actually. Maybe just trying to get as much rest as possible, trusting that it's going to all come back together. The thing is that it's a tough call because this is exactly what we saw in the European with 2 laps to go. So we saw Leah Thorvaldsen go with Rachel Elliott with a break like this and not a whole lot of effort left in the legs of the chase group, like what we're seeing here with the third group this is splintered enough is what I'm trying to say, that they could still go away. There's not quite enough bodies here to get a serious snowball effect. If they got riders here that won't necessarily chase, but Cameron is actually chasing her teammates down, interesting enough to see. Maybe they'll wind to set up Grossman and saying, okay, Rathwell can't sprint with these riders up ahead, so we need to get Grossman in the right position.
Absolutely, that's the case. And I think that Catherine Monks realizes that this is the ideal situation, but it is going to come back together. This is a dream come true right now. So she's channeling her inner Greyhound today, no doubt. Every racer needs a little bit of luck as well. And I think that Christina Grossman has really just now found herself in the situation that she's been waiting her entire esports career for. Megan Rathwell deserves a ton of credit here. She's going to sit on this group. She won't take a pull, as I think she realizes now their best chance is going to be, obviously, to bring this all back together, as she has been climbing like an angel, talking about Megan Rathwell, but she knows that she's got a couple good finishers, a closer in Christina Grossman here, and we might get a very interesting
Brady
situation.
doesn't want to bring him with. Did you see that? Brady was like 6 little kick there. Oh, brings him with. She almost got the 5-meter gap. Cameron then jumped right back on those, you could see. So a lot of low heart rates here anyways, so it was all going to be happening.
Don't forget about Angela Quick. Quick by name, quick by nature. She's the rider with the turquoise cap sitting second wheel here. She's having a solid ride too, keeping her nose out of the wind. All right, we're locked and loaded, folks. We're going to be sprinting into the volcano, and that's coming up under 3K from now. So this is it. This is going to be the group that goes to the line. Oh, boy. I think a few people are surprised to see some of the quality sprinters that have survived to this point. But as it's been said before, when you have a sprinter who's climbing well, they're going to be sprinting really, really well. It's going to be really fun to watch. Monks, Grossman, it's like Ali and Frazier. It's going to be quite a prize fight that we've got out in this group. And maybe another rider can come along and upset them. As we're talking about, there's some other strong finishers out here. Alana Brady, another one to watch.
One thing Brady, definitely also quick. Amongst this here is that this sprint is not straightforward at all. It is very tactical. We saw earlier today Eddie Uli upset everybody and just walked away from the bottom of the 2-tier because he timed it so perfectly. He used his power up, just amazingly used his power up at exactly the right time. As soon as it flattened out, he went from the bottom of the first of the 2-tier. Then as soon as it flattened out, he went from, it was like a 15 watt per kilogram, 14 watt per kilogram kick. Then when it flattened out, arrow power up into steady power. And then one more kick. He had a 5-second gap. They weren't able to bring him back. Everybody's sprinting for second. So the other thing is some people go when it flattens out and it's all together. Usually it's one from the bottom of the second tier, though, with some sort of power-up. And the power-ups that you have at this point are going to be a huge factor. You know, there are favorites here when it comes to sprinting, but really it's anyone's race that's in here if they play it right.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at Catherine Monks as the wild card now. I would expect that she's not going to allow it. She knows that when the road goes uphill, that's her advantage here. I would expect that she doesn't wait for the last 200 meters. If you're going to win this race, you're going to have to go above and beyond. And beating Catherine Monks today, I think, is really going to be the ticket here. You can't let her get a half-second gap in the last K, or it's going to be lights out.
Yeah, I really do think it's going to come down to following that wheel because I have a feeling it is going to be an early attack. I think she wants something that's a little bit more drawn out, not just a punch to the line. We'll have to wait and see, though. Perhaps she will go head to head. This is not a simple sprint.
I agree.
Not one bit. And really, following wheels, not following wheels, what wheel to be on, and when to use that power up is everything in and amongst this. Grossman now at the back as we get into the play-by-play here. Grossman sitting very well positioned there at the back here. She's going to most likely have a DS in her ear with Anna Russell at this point, telling her exactly where to be, what to follow, when to go. Quick there, sitting third wheel. Now Grossman making her way to the front. No, it's actually going to be a lead out, I think, from Cameron, who may be a little bit of bait. Quick 5.0 here now, Dave. Galloping, though. Now Cryogen, Alana Brady.
Look at this. They're keeping the powder dry. Very impressive job here. And it looks like they're going to launch. All right, this is going to start it now. That ghost power-up is beautiful. You can see that Rathwell uses that to her advantage. She has had a tremendous ride, an impact ride out here today, is Megan Rathwell. So the hostilities have begun, Nathan. The finish line comes up very, very quickly now. Let's see. It's going to be Monks. That's Monks in blue. She knows that she's got to get up and over the top, but is it Grossman on her wheel, or is that going to be Claire Cameron here?
It's Cameron. Rathwell now, she was the bait. She forces Monks to close things down. The matches have been burned. Laura Perry now comes over from Agawatt. Cameron is still sitting on. It's going to be Monks there with the attack. Is Grossman. Where's Christina Grossman? She needs to go now if she's going to be involved, but it's Alana Brady sitting on the wheel as well. Brady coming through with the arrow power up. Is it going to be an upset? Alana Brady, make it happen. No, it's going to be McIntosh. McIntosh from Agawatt. Agawatt with the absolute upset. What a ride from Agawatt. They have made that splash we were talking about. I am so impressed by this team. I'm smiling ear to ear to see a newer team amongst the community here show up and pull that off.
Well, and that speaks to this season with Agawatt winning there. I mean, Sarah's the Pros Closet. They've had their days. Finesse Rockets have been phenomenal. Agawatt, today was your day. That was super impressive. Wow. All right. And we've still got a lot of racing ahead of us here as the guys are now at 35K.
Yeah, here we go with the men getting over the top of this climb here, and now the real attacks are on because this is going to be trying to split things up. Nobody's messing around, waiting for any sprints. Not about the points so much at this point. I mean, they're still thinking about points across the final line, but there's a lot more across the final line. They're trying to break things up now, kind of getting sick of coming to line with some of these top dogs that looks like most likely, but not going to be happening here as Lewis shuts it right on down. That's going to do some damage behind here at this point, though. Catanzaro, though, coming on through from next. And now it's going to be Borsma, Royal City there coming through. Kilborn. We see Bestelice there from Rule 5 Racing. Good to see Nathan able to make this La Raza now. Always a little bit of a chirper, not chirping from ATP so much today, as I think his most likely keyboard skills, maybe not so much at 172 beats per minute.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, to tell you the truth. This is the front group here. Not a huge group, but it's pretty large, all things considered. But Nathan, I have to agree with you. You're 100% right. Next has been gobbling up points at every bonus that we've seen out here. They've typically been putting 3 riders in the top 5. But I think we move into the mode for the final now, as the race win is on everybody's mind here.
Lewis again. He keeps on trying to pull the sneaky invisibility power up. He's getting a response here now. Here it comes next. They don't want to let him go. 10 watts per kilogram coming from Kieran Lewis. He can hold this for quite a while. I've raced against Lewis a lot, and this guy, he just keeps getting better and better. ZHQ Rockets trying to get the upset here. He's going to have to hold on to a solid 8-9 watts per kilogram over the top because they're going to come flying here. Cam from ATP, it looks like with an arrow power up, but just too much distance here. Kieran Lewis, ZHQ Rockets makes it happen. Cam ATP, Beck. Where's next? Krasicki is settles for 5th. Say,
I think that they really are. They're playing the long game right now, is my guess, is they're going to regroup. But yeah, you're right. That's the first time we haven't seen them stacking the top 5 as they come rolling back through now. No problem for them. But that was a different group of riders that we had scoring the lion's share of the points on that final KOM there. So
nothing changing. Do you see that there, Dave? Nothing was changed there on the leaderboard from the last time. So they haven't been climbing faster is what I'm getting at. And in some of the other races, the first time up was not the fastest. So interesting enough to see. I think they really threw down that first lap.
Yeah, that's an interesting point for sure. Well, and that speaks to what we just saw, right? The first time up, next was charging it. That time they were laying back, and that certainly allowed some other riders to pick up some points, but it brought the speed that trip up the Volcano Cam down just a tiny bit. But here we go. Hit that reset button at the front because the only points left are for the final here, the grand finale of the 6th of 8 races of Season 2 in the ZRL. This is the America's East. This one's always a humdinger, and we got them now inside of 5K to go. Well inside 5K to go.
I'm going to try and get a little bit of more information here because I am really actually impressed here. with the field that has made this front group at this point in this men's East Division One. This is going to come to the line with a huge amount of riders still. I mean, we're looking at 45 plus riders still hanging out in amongst this with most of
Wow.
the next team. But I mean, there's a lot of points up for grabs, and this kid. I mean, okay, next have taken a ton
All
of
the
points
points
over
are
the
in that
top,
group.
you
Yeah.
know, and so there is still a reality though here that across the line, if they don't end up all within the podium, and there's a team that can sweep in any kind of way or steal a lot of points away, could this be the first one that next loses? Is it possible still today? I'm not sure. We don't actually have any of our preems coming on through, but it could be a little
You're
bit of an
right,
upset
though.
here for them today.
The only reason why I'm not completely jumping on board that, and it is possible for sure, but they've scored a lot of points along the way with the fastest time segments and the bonus sprints, the preems that we've had. And knowing the way that they're going to finish this race, I wouldn't anticipate next not winning their sixth in a row, to tell you the truth. If it is, it would be an incredible ride. And that's why we're here, right? No doubt about it. But next is pretty solid. They really are. They don't make many mistakes.
100%. One thing for sure though, I'm just taking a look here
You
real
have a
quickly.
chance, which this is sort of like that the Death Star thing in Star Wars, Nathan, where no, it's not a great chance, but it's your only chance to beat them. And in plenty of weeks, you don't even have a shot at it. But if you're, let's say, the men in orange here, Kieran Lewis's squad, the ZHQ guys, you really do have a realistic chance to do it here today. You just can't miss a step. Can't leave a crumb on the table if you're going to beat next. You have to have a perfect ride. ATP's got to be thinking the same thing.
Amongst these riders here, personal best, Caleb Carl can throw 15 watts per kilogram for 15 seconds. I think Greg Gersicki is in a similar boat. I mean,
What about
we've
Lipka?
got Lipka. I think Lipka is more of a pure cottage, as you would say here. So, and that does reward. Now, on an uphill, it is kind of uphill sprint, though, so he may suffer a little bit for that here. Definitely one of the more of that. I
Herd
would
as
say,
well. The cryo.
yeah, watch out for Herd as well here. We'll see how the sprint ends up playing out here. The way though that Lipka is climbing right now tells me that maybe there's another level of fitness we haven't seen from him in recent months here. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out for that. And it would be a huge result for him actually, as I think in a lot of the races recently, especially in the early side of the ZRL, we saw on Harrogate, we saw in a couple of other places where getting dropped in climbs that are a lot shorter. So I think that there's definitely some fitness. And as you said, if somebody's climbing well that's got that kind of a kick, that's a ruler, watch out for them in a sprint
Just
even
means
more
they're
so than
fit.
usual.
Right.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
more so than usual.
Yeah. When you have a fit sprinter, that's a weaponized athlete for sure. Well, again, it's incredible to see so many guys with this much climbing. I mean, they've hit almost 500
What
meters of
is
climbing
going
in
on with that?
53
Did you
minutes
see that? What's happening here with Haney? Haney
with
was like,
Ghost.
yeah, he just ghosted. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what was going.
Didn't really change much,
But I mean, at least he got a cool. He looked cool for a second.
He
That
looked
was
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is where now it's not long until they're back into the volcano here and we move into the sprint. But Nathan, you made some great points during the women's race. That timing, again, got to be surgical, precise. It's you can't have a sloppy sprint and win out here, and especially with this group. And watch now, this is the point where Grosicki and company they start organizing. And yeah, I mean, Catanzaro is a rider that has shown that he's ready to win a big race in the ZRL. Here goes Kieran Lewis, so that's going to be Lewis dropping the ghost.
Not going to do a whole lot here. He's going to find himself really quickly swallowed up here. But maybe Royal City with the 10 watt per kilogram here. But now things are going to heat up here. Lewis here trying to continue on. Hold on to the wheel here. Is he going to have a second kick? If Lewis can rest for a moment and
Boersma.
kick a second
Yep.
on time, but there's going to be so much speed coming in from
Here it
this main
comes.
kick. Now here they go. Haig now coming on through. Cam now 9 watts per kilogram coming from him. It's going to be Lewis now in the 13 watts per kilogram, but the speed is just going to be too much. Get a Nazaro from next. He keeps on showing us what he's got, and there it is, all the way to the line, holding them off.
There it is.
What a ride there coming from next, and showing us why they have been unstoppable. It was almost,
see what I mean? They just don't
that
miss
almost
a step.
felt that really. I mean, remember this harkens back to even the way my commentary felt there for a minute when Cav was winning so much, and it was just kind of like, well, it does it again, and it does it again, and it does it again. I mean, it's kind of, and it was, and
Well,
it looked kind of like clockwork in some ways too. It looked like it was it had been done that way so many times in the past that they were just used to what we've seen.
it reminds me of the Wolfpack in the World Tour, right? I mean, just they win a lot. They're really, really good at it. And this is what I love about the ZRL is they will be promoted and will be into the Premier League in a few weeks or for season 3, if everything goes the way I anticipate it will. Let's go back and watch the replay here of the women's race now, as this was the throwdown.
Yeah, this is going to be, it was Rathwell off the front getting a little bit of bait here. I thought it was looking to set up for Grossman, but Grossman, I think, maybe just a little bit ways too far back at this point. Kicking up into 5.7, 5.6 watts per kilogram. Maybe there just wasn't a right power up there for that, but it was, as you can see, Agawatt there coming across with
Ashley McIntosh.
Oh, my goodness. Amazing ride there.
Good job, Ashley.
You know, so going backwards just a little bit, where did she come from? Did she lead this out even? As I look at Monks trying to come across, and it was...
She was in front at 200 meters to go, basically.
This
maybe
speaks
a little less
to
than that,
the punch you can get out of a feather power-up. Watch this. The punch out of this feather power-up, look at where she comes from, right here. Pap, there it is. As soon as it hits 4% gradient, the feather power-up pushes her into that 9.5, huge acceleration of speed, and not even an arrow power-up with 9 watts per kilogram from Monks could come across. Amazing effort there coming on through. Grossman did settle for, it looks like, 6th place on the day across the line. Looks like her orange numbers came a little bit late. I think that was a timing thing, perhaps. They're coming from Grossman.
Well, we learn a lot on a day like today. That's for sure. The Volcano KOM does damage as well. So for the sprinters that do make it into that final selection that goes to the line, they're not the same. It's a lot different sprinting after 42 really hard kilometers. That's for sure. Going back and looking at the men now, it was Boersma from Royal City Cycling that started the hostilities, but you can see they came up and over the top. And Next Level did exactly that. This was the race winning move right there.
I want to also speak to, like, a lot of people have been studying a lot of these really larger field sprints, and myself as well, because things have changed so much that you can't just get away with some of the things you used to be able to get away with. So look at the positioning here from Catanzaro. He's sitting in 6th wheel, and his final kick, as soon as it's at 4% gradient section, up into that 13, you can see watts per kilogram there from Siaka, as well as Catanzaro, though, up into that 12 watts per kilogram with an arrow power up. Finds himself on the front and just holds on through that last 100 meters or so. You do see it's going to be Canada 4i. Solid result there. ATP Kama there, who did lead things out, ends up fading back to 4th. Zach Neer. I think Lipka, solid result there. 1 to 7th place. That is a really good result among the field here for somebody who's maybe been not even involved in the conversation in weeks past. So very good result. Let's see if we can jump on in with some of the other categories here in just a moment. We do have the West coming up as well, though, Dave, don't we? With you and Kate covering things. It's a lot more racing to come. We've been here. It's always a long day and amazing racing when it comes here across the community. We see all the chatter coming on through. Just a reminder, everybody, if you're loving the content and you want to support the channel, go ahead and throw the follow button, hit that subscribe button, or if you're over on Twitch as well, follow button there, and turn on your notification bells. Anytime that we do go live, we'll be bringing in results here in just a second. We are waiting for some of this to load over on Zwift Power at the moment. I do believe for a lot of the women's races. I'm just going to double check here. Everybody has finished pretty much all the way through for the um, for the C category. See if there is anything for the D's as well. So let's go ahead and go through the women's results, and we'll see if we can catch any of the finishes for the men's B category. Let's go ahead and go back to the A's here. Dave, Ashley McIntosh, we saw that amazing Agawatt finish.
Yeah, that's a breakthrough win. Congratulations, Ashley. Ashley McIntosh, the gold standard out here today. Catherine Monks for silver, and Alana Brady taking the bronze medal. In fourth is Heather Patrick. Fifth place for Christina Grossman today. Laura Perry in sixth. Julie O'Day in seventh. Angela Quick in eighth. Claire Cameron for ninth. Megan Rathwell for 10th. That's a who's who of the Division 1A women out of America's East. Great racing today, ladies.
In the B category, Britt Powell comes on through with Megan Kelly coming on through for second. And then it's going to be M.A. Huel, Watts Sisters, JZQ in third. Mary France Sorrell in fourth. Melinda Lehman in fifth. It's going to be Sarah Downeth in sixth. Joey Lithgow in seventh. And then Allison Thompson in eighth. It's going to be Liz Martin in ninth place out of Australia. And then Melanie Rocher for the Watt Sisters as well in 10th.
Let's take a look at the C's now with Annie Pouliot taking the win. Way to go, Annie. Ashley Cameron for second, and Vicky Sue rounds out your podium. Nats McLean in fourth. Rosie Jacobson in fifth. Veronique Fournier in sixth. Diana Maurer in seventh. Nicole Vensko in eighth. Sierra Siebenlist in ninth. And then Bridget Brown rounds out your top 10 for the C's in the America East. Great racing.
And I think that is what we've got here. Now, we have a little bit of a sprint we get to be able to catch here, actually, for the finish of the B category, or at least some of the B category here. Finish it up. It does look like Itang almost going to be caught, but not going to be happening. A lot of sprinting happening behind him here. We did miss the finish of the B category for the top spots. A few points here left, and this is going to be the second group, I think, sprint that we are able to catch. The Tiki, BCF VFox, trying to hold on. Is he going to be caught at the line? This is always one of those feelings where you're just trying to do everything you can. 180s. This is absolute suffering. Looks like he's going to just barely hold on. A. Lee coming across the line. Alex T. M. Course. This is for the last points that were out there.
Timed that right.
Yeah, he timed that really perfectly. I did want to give a shout out also over to Ashley Cameron there. Solid result for her. She's been making her way up through the categories, that's for sure. She's streaming over on Twitch. There are plenty of streamers doing a great job. Definitely go check them out and throw them some support over on Twitch underneath the Zwift category. Always loving to give them a shout out. I think in the C's we may have a couple of those, and then after we do watch the C's finish up, we will be finishing up the broadcast. We want to see if we can jump in with any of them and see where they are at. It does look like pretty broken up here at this point, Dave. Nothing like what we saw in the men's race or the women's race really at this point, as it looks like it's just a lot of very small groups splintered in this C category.
Well, and that's a really good example of what happens in real life or on Zwift. Is the higher the category, the more similar in ability riders are. So when you look at guys in the C or the D category, you see this smaller groups or even riders who are alone as that ability. It's an interesting thing to watch, but you realize then that's sort of the process. Much like you'll see here, we were talking about next level, and as they join or move up into the Premier League for next season, that's what I'm anticipating anyways, is they're going to find it a lot harder to make an impact in the race because there's so many quality riders around you. That's one of the things that you would always hear from the young American pros when they made their way into the World Tour, talking about the difference between racing domestically in the U.S. versus against the best riders in the world, is when you race, it's a lot of fun when you're a real talent and you can race against guys domestically, because you can swing a big hammer and make a big impact multiple times in the race and still have something left for the finish. But in the World Tour, when you hit out, you better damn well have a reason for doing what you're doing, because they will make you pay a price if you waste energy out there. Same thing here for esports. At the high level there's not much difference in ability. So when you make an effort, you better mean it.
looking through here, it does look like breakthrough ride here coming from C Fravel. He has been on the gas through that last section here, 4.2, 5.0. I mean, this has got to be well over threshold effort, and we'll see how long he can hold this. It may be upgradable effort is what might be happening here as well. But Fravel here, 189 beats per minute. At 159 and 188, is this a junior rider? Is what I'm wondering. I mean, look at the watts per kilogram, and we're looking at the watts in the upper left-hand corner, 4.5. This has got to be a younger rider, I
Upper
would
limits.
assume. 187, 4.2 at 166. I mean, we're talking sub 100 pounds, I would think. So I'm assuming that this is most likely a junior that's hammered away in the C category right now.
Well, noteworthy ride here. We'll see if he can hold on.
Large pack here trying to chase him down. And
That's
I have a
not
feeling,
a good sign. Yeah.
And I have a feeling that if it is a junior rider who weighs that, that not much, then the speeds, it's all about climbing for him, because the speeds that he can have on the flatter sections or through the sprint are not going to be near what some of these boys that are coming through right now.
We used to see that all the time at the old Coors Classic with the 50-kilo Colombian guys would build up a good 6-7 minutes in the mountains, but then the long descent back down to the plains, they would always give that time back, right? It's just the laws of physics.
Actually within sight now at this point. They can see him just in the
it's like
just see him there.
Yeah.
9 seconds trying to hold on. They're getting a little
They'll
lazy
get him,
though here.
Unfortunately.
43 kilometers per hour. You think so? 52. I think you're right.
That's
right.
That's a pretty big differential in speed, and unfortunately, I hate to say that because especially
and the 4.5. Look at him. He's got this. He's got the watts per kilogram. I mean, that's the reality. It's just the pure wattage is just not going to make it happen here at 44.
If he could
40,
clone
48.
himself, all he needs is 2 more people like him willing to work.
The uphill grind here in just a moment. C category, remember? They might only have 6 to 7 watts per kilogram. We'll see.
Every 15 seconds, they're bringing back a second, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see though. I mean, again,
now it's matched. The uphills might do it for him.
Right.
We still have a couple of uphills here. We are, in the C category.
This is going to go.
Kick.
This is going to go to the line. I mean, if they do catch him, it's not going to be until they're 100 meters from the line because he's got a nice buffer right here.
Home here from the herd. Now we've got a couple of power-ups coming on through.
They need to work harder.
They really do.
They got to go harder. Now they're going.
Here, ATP up and over the top. Now here's a little bit of a kick. He might come across the Fravel, then go right on by him here at this point. The speeds are just too high. The watts are too high. And it is going to be All-Wang.
All-Wang's going to nail him back.
He's got a power up. He's hanging on. I love it. I love it that he's doing everything he can to hang on. All-Wang goes again out of Canada.
Well, as we said, the kid took it. Well, I say the kid. We assume.
We're assuming. There's a huge assumptions going on here.
His nickname is the kid now, and there they are. So the reality of bike racing, it ain't easy.
Not one bit.
That's my
Dirt
big quote.
Sullivan makes it. That's a reality of bike racing. It ain't easy. That's
it ain't easy.
Hawkins coming through for second for Herd. It looks like Fleet's going to just hang on. And then Stargard. That's the men's C category.
Now, if this world were fair, that young man would not have been caught. But unfortunately,
I don't know. I think that's about as fair as physics are pretty fair.
I guess that's the reality.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know.
Physics are fair. Physics are fair. No, I'm not going to argue physics. Yeah.
Things were fair. Then we just changed the laws of physics. Wait.
Dave Toll, physics denier? Are you kidding me? I am not. I'm a full believer. What have we got here? More C's finishing up. I think that probably wraps up a big day of racing in America's East. As we've got the West already in the pens, Nathan. I'm getting all my alerts telling me that we've got another race to look
They better not be in the pens. I'm not ready for that.
Maybe not in the pens.
We got an hour. We got about an hour to the next broadcast here. A little underneath. Freaking me out, Dave. I was like, wait, what? Like, how long did we go? What time is it? Oh, shoot. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened with the men's results, though, before we jump on over to that. And this is going to be this is EMEA. Nathan
so you don't see a lot of Welsh flags in the Americas East. Yep.
Go ahead, Dave. That's all you.
Thanks, Nathan. Scott Catanzaro, that was an awesome ride. As a big win there. Nick Pruch taking the silver medal, and Matus Siarka for bronze. Tay Charlton for fourth. Connor Cam for fifth. Liam Flanagan for sixth. Zach Nair seventh. Pedro Ericart in eighth. Josh Lipka finds the top 10 with ninth today, and Kieran Lewis for 10th. That's the A's that we had a lot of fun watching out there today.
And we did see
though, big win.
That's a huge win, and really was one of the strongest riders in the day. Got a lot of points over the top of the KOM as well as we did see. It is Mathieu Aslin across the line for first place. Brandon Hines for second. It's going to be Brian Domikis for third. This is the East Division 1B for the men/mix. And then it's going to be Stefan Lavoie coming on through for fifth place. Mark Murawski in sixth. Chris Dorsey for seventh for WTRL. Adam Hockley there for eighth. Paul Zakin for ninth. And Chris McKillick in for 10th place. Division 1B. No results yet for the C's or the D's, but we did just see what happened there just a moment ago in that C category, everybody. So if you do looking for more results, go ahead and home over to WTRL. We are waiting on the Zwift data to come on through over on Zwift Power still, so just be on the lookout for that. As soon as WTRL does get that, they will make sure everything's right and load it on up for you at WTRL. We do have Zwift Duathlon is starting up. Pretty awesome. I hear they have pushing up toward, they don't have 2,000 yet, but pushing toward that 2,000 entrance. That is that's huge for first go at an event. I mean, absolutely awesome. Anna was saying she was getting her set up. She actually said that she got her transition ready and was like, got it down to like 3 minutes. So people are practicing transitions now at home to get ready to do their duathlons and their triathlons at home. I mean, what the future is now, Dave. Just so I didn't know if you noticed, but the future is now.
When Anna Russell goes grocery shopping, she tries to win that too, right? There's nothing that Anna does that she doesn't try to do at the very highest level. That doesn't surprise me. I heard 1,600 people have signed up, so let's assume it gets up over 17 by the time they're racing. That's a great start. I love the fact that we've got a cool new community to talk about.
Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. We have to watch out. We don't have confirmation of anything around broadcast with it just as of yet, but never know. We'll see how that plays out. So we will have Kate where I'm sitting. Dave's going to stay right where he is. He's not moving one bit, not a muscle. And
nope.
They'll be back from the West in just a little bit for what is Chapman calling it? The loony stream. As things get a little more things get a little more. And things we've been awake for a long time, broadcasting for a long time. Yeah. I don't know if it was a loony. It was something along those lines. It was something along.
It's appropriate. I understand where they're coming from.
The strung out stream. So
it's a little
lots
loose.
of coffee.
A little loose.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in about an hour for that. Thanks everybody tuning in. As always, great job to all the riders and ride on.